I believe in God Almighty. Charters your path. Sometimes you feel, I've not got this, I've not got that, but I think God Almighty always has a bigger plan for you. And I'm a strong believer and thankful to Almighty for what I am today and where I am today. And to my parents.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Be Podcastive. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Vipul Sabharwal, a former managing director of Luminous Power Technologies, with a wide range of experience of 40 years into the corporate industry with Johnson & Johnson, Gillette, Nokia, Whirlpool, and Luminous. This video has been done in association with Bamboo Heart. So let's get started. First of all, welcome to Be Podcastive, sir, and thank you so much for taking out your time. जो आप हमारे शो के लिए इतना टाइम निकाल के आप यहाँ पे आए हैं, तो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दैट.
Pleasure here, Shambhavi, to be at Think Nest today and to meet you. I think I'm meeting you after about maybe 4 or 5 years, and pleasure to be here to share my thoughts and also to interact with you.
Of course. So, tell us a bit about your journey so far, about your experience in corporate and how you have been managing things till date.
That's a big question. You want me to summarize close to 40 years of experience. So I started working in 1984, and out of a management institute, I worked in a couple of consumer good companies, starting from TTK, Johnson and Johnson, and then a very, very long stint at Gillette, which I think has played a foundational role in my career. That was close to 18 years. And then a leap of faith to move to a technology company called Nokia, where the experience was really outstanding, seeing how a great brand is built, how it is manages to fight for its market share, how it goes from one country to second country, how technology sells. And from there on to a company called Whirlpool, today an iconic name in the durable segment in the homes in India, and then to Luminous, where I worked for about 8 years and led a company in a great space to achieve great thought leadership in that category. And today I have moved on, and now I'm an independent consultant, an independent director on one company, and do an advisory role and support people in education, and more importantly, help people to achieve their dreams and accomplish them a lot.
That's such a wonderful journey, like so far you have been. So guide us a bit about, like as you said that you have been looking for the businesses to grow outside India as well. So guide us about that if somebody wants to grow their business outside India. So what are the things which the company should keep in their mind?
I think it depends. There is no one single formula which will apply. So, with a complete, make an attempt to say that if you're looking at the first world market, the more developed countries, I think the game is different. If you're looking at the developing countries, which is what I put India as a part of it, is a different situation. But I think the first one and the foremost thing, uh, I would say it has to be consumer-centric. I think all people who want to be into international space and go to other country to businesses is to invest time to see who the consumer is and what the consumer wants. That, I think, is the first starting point, because that will play a very important role. I'm not talking about technology, I'm not talking about B2B space, but I'm specifically talking of consumer footprint. The second point I would say that after understanding the consumer is understand the channels in those countries. Uh, what are they looking like? Are we dealing with modern trade? Are we dealing with e-commerce? Are we dealing with different kind of people? Because that will become an integral part of the business plan in the initial years. The third piece, which I would say, is to understand the cultural fabric in the country, because you're going to communicate with consumers in the country. You're not just going to go and leave the product there. You're going to go and see what the fabric looks like, what are the cultural issues, what are the cultural opportunities, and be a part of the fabric in that country. The fourth point I would say is that as the businesses grow, one will have to innovate in line with the consumer needs of the country. So, depending upon the size and scale and the category, make the consumer needs important enough to innovate so that you can keep appealing to the country. These are some of the top line thoughts in my mind, Shambhavi.
True that. So, any experience which you have experienced till date about international market when it comes to consumer durables or FMCG or any sort of that product? If somebody wants to get into international business, who, your experience which you would like to share about that?
I mean, I can take an example of Nigeria, which at one point in time was one of our biggest markets. And we were selling certain products in those countries. And later on, we went and discovered that there was another very big market, which was at a different size and scale. But initially, everybody has inhibition. So do we. So do our partners. So do the sales teams, everybody. They said, let's do a small experiment. And we took the risk, saying that, okay, we will go to the middle of the market, to the belly of the market, and say, okay, we will attempt this kind of a solution. And the first consignment we sent was there was a huge suspicion whether we would make it, not make it, butterflies in our stomachs. But when it went there and we started tracking, okay, what is happening, successful. But today it's probably one of the best successful solutions in that country, in that segment, and it's now being replicated success from one country to second country to third country.
Now, tell us a bit about like team management. You have been working as a managing directors and on a like senior positions you have already worked on. So, how tough is to manage a team, and how challenging it is?
I'll just make one, philosophical statement about that, Shambhavi. You know, uh, all companies have to go out of their organizations to create value. And some of them will involve conflict, some of them will involve fighting out, some of them involve fight for market share. And I've always believed that an equivalent battle happens inside the organization to align people. And I've always said that internal battles are probably bigger than the external battles. And the reason I say that, not that they're more difficult or there's politics, but I think if you align everybody in the company, then I think external battles become much easier, much enjoyable, much nourishing. I think managing teams is about understanding people, understanding aspirations, and joining the threads to see what people want to do. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody who comes to work has a good intention. But somewhere down the line, people have thoughts. I have my thoughts. He will have some thoughts. So, where is the common ground? And do we spend time to debate and align people? If we spend time to debate, if we spend time to align people, then I think team management is easier, delivers phenomenal results outside, and is something which we cherish. And from one success to second success to third success to fourth success, you see the game of cricket. When the team management is there, it's a wow. When the not so sure, there is always a debate. What happened?
True. So, talking about your initial phase of corporate journey when you started, so how you started into your corporate journey, and like how was your college days, and how you managed to coming into industry like the companies which you have already worked for like Whirlpool and also how you managed that, how you came to that, landed up to the jobs.
So my first placement was, from the campus. The first few years was seeing what the channel looks like, working as an ASM, different parts of the country, different categories. It was to understand what it takes to manage a channel partner, what is the fabric of the country, what it takes to succeed, what I call the last mile of execution.
What was your first company?
Well, my first company was a company called TTK, followed by Johnson and Johnson, and then 18 years with Gillette. So large part of that career.
So the maximum duration you have worked for is for Gillette, right? Okay. So, and what was your like complete work?
Okay, so
So the things which you are working on.
I think so. If my number is correct, I did about 8 roles in a period of 17 in Gillette for a period of 18 years. starting from at that time called a promotion and planning manager, which is basically about channel management, to leading a region in the Western region, uh, then handling a category in a brand called Gillette, and then going to another company which is part of the Gillette group to sell Wilkinson blades, then into the company to become the field sales manager, which is to run the sales team, then to become a category head, which is to handle the complete business in its perspective, and ultimately the last role was the general sales director, which is to run the complete go-to market and was the voice of the channel in the company.
So it seems that it's a massive from ASM to the position of director, right? So it's something which is a huge, like huge achievement for somebody. So how was like you managing things in like starting phase of like starting from ASM to the director? So how was your experience till the
I
time?
think the most important thing, and I give full credit to the company like Gillette, they invested a lot in the people. There a lot of training, a lot of management development program. There were chips were up and down. There were many periods when people felt, this ship is not going to, sail in the right direction. But I think the leadership and the whole ethos in the organization was that we will make it. So what if today we did not achieve a target? But I think the overall, the depth of leadership and the depth of people out there and the talent made a huge impact. And I think some of the great brands got created, and I think big accomplishment in a satisfying career. One thing which I would say I give credit is that both for the organization and my personal choice was to do different things in the period of 18 years. And I think we moved from sales to marketing, marketing back to sales, to business P&L, to to being a full head of the sales. I think different roles, every role added to the complete knowledge set and the skill set. But overarching theme, I think the company was committed to the growth of the people. If people were willing to make that investment and be patient enough. Two, I think they gave opportunity in its own dimension to try for people to try different things, even if they were not ready. There was a saying in Gillette, even if the man is half ready, give him the job, he will do it. And I think that's a philosophy which allowed many people, and including myself, to grow in that organization and not only develop as a manager, but also contribute to the growth of the company.
And when you started your career, there was no internet, there was no like mobile phones was there, and nowadays like everyone and everywhere internet and technology is there. So how do you think that like the moment where internet was not there and the transition between the time, so how the companies has managed the things, how you manage the things about grabbing the new technologies, grabbing the internet thing, so how was that experience during
I
that
think
time?
this is a great question. Is that in an era where there's no internet, there's basically a telephone. At some time, even STD was not there. People had to book trunk calls. In an era you would not know, but you have to go to telephone operator and say, "Get me a trunk call," and make a call. And only one number in the office had an STD call to talk to people. A lot of reliance was on trust and faith and judgment. And it's not that today that is not required. It's also required today. But I think the speed of information availability and allowing quick decision making is the big difference between the two. I think in that era, you have to allow the judgment to happen, people to travel. Not that people don't travel, people need to travel today as well. But I think the speed of decision making between the two eras is the big difference, which I think is the beneficiation to the corporations to be able to choose and make the choices faster and be faster to the market. And it's always relative. It's not that A company has it and the B doesn't, both have it. So therefore, at the end, it is a level
So
playing
it was
field.
same for everyone, like every other company needs
Absolutely.
to come into that technology field.
It's a level playing field, but how do you leverage it? How do you innovate on top of it? How do you bring the ability of the people to quickly digest data and align everybody and to be able to take decisions.
In 90s where there like technology and internet was rolling around, so during that period you were in Gillette.
I think probably between Gillette and Nokia.
Okay, between Gillette and Nokia. So
Gillette Internet has started. The first experience of digitization and people getting laptops.
so you
and
were there during the
absolutely,
first.
that internet era had started when I was in Gillette.
Okay, so what was the major challenges which you're facing at that particular time?
I think adoption, uh, change is always something we just talked about, but change is not easy. So imagine ASMs are used to working on a piece of paper, suddenly everything on laptop, all data is there. But I think the greatness is to allow people to have the space to make the change. If you force the change, it becomes a law and it becomes a mandate. People don't like it. People like to be told and let them the space. But I think the pace of adoption of technology in India is something which really impresses me. Uh, Nokia had made a prediction when we used to work in Nokia that for maybe 70-80% of people in India, the experience of the internet will happen on the phone. Today, probably it's 99%. Laptops are things of the past, maybe in the office, but I think large part of people in population work on the internet, their life
Now
starts
it's
on
like
the
everyone is using the laptop, everyone is using internet. Even in a village, if you'll go, you'll see that people is already having smartphones. People is already having access to
I mean, you
internet,
look at the digitization of the payment system. I
UPI.
mean, UPI is a revolution in India. It's probably one of the greatest examples which India can be very proud of it.
Right.
And
In
today,
other countries, it's not
it's not to that
available yet.
extent,
Right.
but
But
in
now
India,
it's growing in other
but
countries as
India
well.
innovation in India, this is exemplary.
So basically, technology is playing a great role, right? So as technology is growing, we can see a different sort of AI is coming up. As example, like the Chat GPT, which we were discussing just before that, right? So what do you feel that how the things is gonna change in upcoming time?
I think there is, in my view, I'm not an expert on this, but I would say that the 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 information availability and the baseline analysis of the information will become faster and more readily available to people. That I think is going to happen. I think the ability to take decisions and how to take decisions will change. People would, if earlier people would spend, say, 20 minutes discovering and taking 20 minutes to take a decision, I think discovery might take 10 minutes
True.
and there are 30 minutes to take a decision. I think information will become a level playing field. Analysis on top of that will also potentially become a level playing field. But the ability to take smart decision on top of that is, I think, what will be the differentiator in the world tomorrow.
That. So very well said. So now coming to the point that in India and even like outside India, a lot of countries are facing recessions, right? So like every 1 decade recession happens. So what are your points on this recession? What are the things going to be changed, and what are the new opportunities will be coming after recession? So what are your points on that?
So first of all, I'm not an economist. I am. I don't have the.
No, as per the management views.
I think the the world will probably be divided in the developed countries and the developing countries will see a different, experience or two. I think there's already a difference in what we see or what India sees and what US sees and other countries in the world see. I think in a growing economy, the economy will grow. The level of growth, I think, will get tempered. I think if India was potentially historically growing at 7 or 8, 9%, potentially there could be some impact of growth today. Whatever the data is being published is showing there's impact. I think innovation will play a difference on how companies will perform. Those who factor that in the context will do that. I think companies will have to make choices on how they spend the money. If there was earlier more flexible room, I think the level of flexibility will come down. I think employees will also have to realize that there will be some hard choices to be made. This is a period of turbulence. How do we manage the situation? How do we live the situation? And how do we. In the end, I think innovation, smartness, and using the money judiciously will make a difference in the performance once people are out of the place. It's not that even in this space companies are growing. It's not companies are growing very well. It is who is growing and how are they growing and how the investments are made. I think people centricity, customer centricity, and innovation will probably be what will make the difference once the crowd settles down.
So, as we can see that the companies are laying off their employees. So, in your career, have you been on any particular point where you had to lay off your employees because of situations or market trends? Any particular situation where you had to do that?
Laying off of people and you know managing cost structure is a part of any corporate history. The best of companies have done it, and the worst of companies have also done it. It's a tough decision. There is no second opinion about that. But how you execute that decision is important. When companies get merged, when companies get integrated, there is always a potential loss of job, or there's a recareering. I wouldn't say layoff is a one word, but it's going to be recareering. It's not that everybody who's later doesn't find a job. Some people find probably better jobs. So I think how do you support them? How do you re-career people? How do you make people find the new potential is important. It's happened between Gillette, it's happened in all organizations, it happened even in our. How do you support people to do re-career? And the most humbling part and the most satisfying part is I've gone and met some of them later on, and they are probably in a different career and probably happier. So I would say yes, at some point in time companies do, so would be in my career, have also led this situation. But I think the more important point is not the decision that one person has to leave the ship, but how do you support that individual in re-careering and seeing newer potential for themselves in the world.
True. So, could you please put some light on leadership as you have been on a leadership positions since long, right? So, what are the things which a leader should keep in mind while performing any actions in companies, or maybe it can be a CEO of a company or managing director of a company? So, what are the key qualities which a leader should always keep in themselves?
It's a big topic, Shambhavi, but I think what I would say is that you will always be faced with choices. And the choices impact, by and large, three kinds of stakeholders. It has an impact on the business, it will have an impact on the team, and it will have an impact on you as an individual. If you follow the guideline, not a guideline, it's not a really guideline, if you follow a thought, then let's take the decision in the interest of the company. How does it impact my team? How does it impact me? If you take the decision in that order, you probably will deliver something to the audiences which will be satisfying, rewarding. And I think the leadership span or the scope of impact will be longer.
Very like truly said. So leadership is not only about focusing on yourself, but whosoever is concerned with that particular your decisions and the stakeholders. So you should always take care of them, right? So I completely believe that yes, we should think in that perspective as well. So talking about the trend, marketing trend, like market trend, which has been shifted, right? So when it comes to marketing point of view, you have been into sales, you have been into marketing. So how the marketing trend has been changed so far?
I think two or three things. One trend is that the consumption of media has shifted from the traditional to more the internet and more the the, the areas around social media. So that's from a consumption point of view. The second, I think, the trend I see is that the attention spans have become shorter because of the influence of the internet. And on the phone you can see YouTube, you can see Facebook, you can see Instagram, you can see company website, you can read news. So the depth of the time being spent on each medium, I think, potentially has gone down. So attention spans have become shorter. So therefore, the delivery of message has to be done innovatively in a shorter period of time to deliver the impact. I think that's something which is very clear. I think the consumer today has got far more choices, and the information available to the consumer on decision making is huge. So therefore, the marketeers have to think that, okay, in this space, the consumer can make choices and more information is available to the places where the consumer can go and check about my product, my services are innumerable. Some are managed by companies, some are in independent space. Right? Reviews, they can go to all kinds of places to find about the company. So I think the marketeers have to think of the 360 degree. Okay, I have a product, I'll go through the medium, I'll deliver it, but I also have to worry about the reviews. I have to go back and keep checking what the feedback is. I think that feedback piece has become bigger. And what marketers do with that is, I think, become important. So, in a historical perspective, people would see service as a cost structure. My own personal view, service is as much important as branding, as much important as consumer marketing. And it's a very important source of feedback of what the consumers are thinking about the product. I think the 360 degree, I think, has come to its full life. I'm sure it'll reach higher levels from where we are today.
True.
But I think that space, the marketers have to think, I have a product, I go out and communicate. I also have to go back and check what the feedback. Not that it was not done earlier, it was done earlier. But the speed and pace at which it happens, and the speed and pace which I have to innovate to be able to stay ahead is, I think, at a different level today.
Any situation where you received negative feedback about your products which you have been working for, any product which you were receiving negative feedback, and how you deal with that?
Oh, I'll go back into the space of telecom. Uh, Many products get launched in the handset businesses, and there were some launches which did not go the way they thought to. We had to go back and say, okay, we're going to withdraw it. But that was piece number one. When the second product came, which is a more innovative product, we didn't spend a lot of time to test it. Everybody in the office tested it, everybody checked it. We gave it to the channel partner to see how it delivered. We actually held back uh, the time to go to market a little longer. But once it tested and went to the market, it was a joy. It was a place of pride. So I think my whole principle is that if it's a mistake, better to stand up and say, yes, it's a mistake. Withdraw it. It will be cost, but that financial cost is far lesser than the reputation lost which a company, which potentially can happen in any organization. Anybody can make a mistake. Mistake can happen anytime. But it's the beauty of an organization and leadership to stand up and say, okay,
This is
don't
my
think we're on the
mistake.
right page.
Right.
I think we need to pull back, go back to a drawing board, see what's correct, make the changes, and then go back.
Very well said. So that was happening in handset time.
That's correct.
Yeah. So like now coming to the part, as you have already like been working since last 40 years, but now as you are working as an independent consultant, right? So you must be getting now time to follow your hobbies and all. So what are your hobbies?
Good question. So I read a lot. Not a lot. I read a little bit. There's a passion in me to go and learn golf, but I want to do a little bit. Travel. I travel in the country. I've been traveling a lot, and I support my family, my daughters, to achieve their dreams, and I also go back and connect with a lot of people who I think I've not been able to keep in touch as much as I would like to keep.
So as you said that you love traveling. So what is your like? which is your favorite destination?
There's no favorite at the moment.
Okay.
I've been traveling the whole breadth of the country in the last 12 months and visiting various places. I think I like seeing religious places. I also like seeing places which are close to nature. That's what I do.
Hilly areas, basically.
Hilly areas, beach, whatever.
So which one you prefer more, like hilly areas or beaches?
Both. There is no specific preference. Depending upon what time of the year, I think both have their own joy and fun. But I think both have. I really have no specific choice that A is better or B is better. But I love both of them.
And what are your religious thoughts?
I believe in God Almighty. I believe that God charters your path. Sometimes you feel, Arey, I've not got this, I'm not got that, but I think God Almighty always has a bigger plan for you. And I'm a strong believer and thankful to Almighty for what I am today and where I am today. And to my parents.
Great.
And to my
And how you are managing your time for family, for your hobbies, for your work, how you're managing that?
Very difficult question, Shambhavi. I do have a day plan, but it's not cast in stone. I keep, okay, these are my essentials, which I must do today, and these are my desirables, and they keep adjusting over a period of time.
You're a morning person?
I'm a morning person.
Okay, so like 5 a.m. club?
Not really 5 a.m. club, but we're closer to 5 a.m.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, like, what is your morning rituals? Like, what do you do in your morning time?
I do a little bit of exercise at home and then start getting ready. I maintain a little bit notes on my phone. I moved from the paper and pencil to on the phone now. That is a big shift. And I start thinking out, and around 8:30, I start calling up or following up or set the plan and the motion to be able to do that. And evenings are more for the family to discuss and to enjoy at home and be with them to see what happened day, what we can do tomorrow, and what's the enjoyment we have.
And as you said that you read a lot, right? So, what kind of book basically you prefer to read?
Anything which comes to my hand. These days I read more on the news. I read something on technology. I'm reading one book on AI. That's fascinating. It talks about all the experiences which are coming in that space.
Any favorite book?
Recently, I think 2 years ago, I read a book called Loom Shots, which is about how innovation happens in company. That's something which is still I appreciate. I keep going back and seeing some parts of it.
And how important you feel that in person's life the time management skill is?
Very important. I think you can achieve a lot if you follow some basics, small principles, and you will never get stressed that I missed out something. I think that's the way I would put it. You can never expand a time in a day. There's a finite amount you can do, but if you follow prioritization and follow time management, you will avoid the stress in the life to say I did not achieve it. Yet I would say not everything is possible. There'll be some choices, some sacrifices to be made to say, okay, I can't do this, I can never do this, or I will do this later. I think those are the choices you have to make.
Any particular marketing campaign throughout your career which you did with anyone in any brand which is memorable for you?
I think the last one in Luminous was memorable. The brand became from a solution to a brand which has reached the home. It's going to remain in the home, and today I think I can make a statement that it's one of the loved brands in the category to be there. It is a big journey.
And what was that campaign about?
I don't remember the specifically ad, maybe I'm getting old, but I think it's about how the brand reached the home, how different situations the home, when there is potentially a chance of a power outage, the brand came into play and created a wow factor for the family. How the dreams of people were achieved because of having continuous power.
There are few celebrity endorsement also the Luminous has did, like when you were there. So
There is today the brand has got the company has got Sachin Tendulkar, and I think the second brand Amaze has got Virat Kohli.
okay, I saw your photo with Sachin Tendulkar on LinkedIn. So I thought that this must be about one campaign. So yes, like if I'll talk about that particular Luminous also, or maybe Whirlpool also. So these are the brands which is I guess that present in every house, right? Even if I'll go to some villages also, they have inverter, they will have the battery. So when it comes to battery, so Luminous battery is there. The fridge is there, so Whirlpool fridge is there. Uh, Washing machine is there. So definitely whatever the brands you have worked for, so those brands are already available in almost every household. So this is something very huge, right? That continuously working for such brands are like this is very different. Like not everyone get that chance, or maybe about their expertise as well. Like it's so you have been into these brands, so definitely like your experience and your everything speaks, right? So if I'll talk about that upcoming brands which are generally startups, or some new brands are coming up every day, right? So due to Startup India government programs, a lot of different brands are coming up. So what are your suggestions for those sort of startups in that consumer durable products?
I think I would say one is be close to consumer, spend time with the consumer. So in organizations we have had consumer day, which everybody in the company goes, even that the technical person, the R&D person goes out, meets consumers and gets. I think being close to the consumer is one advice I would not advise. It's just a thought for people to evaluate. The second is have an have time to bring the insights to a place and innovate around them. So insight is a raw material. The innovation is what you do with it, and the new product is the output out of that. So I think you have to spend time, and and be prepared that there'll be failure down the line. Organizations only see people outside only see what successes companies have. Nobody sees what failures they've had, what brands have not done well, what products have failed. Very few people come to see. Only very few people know. Okay, this is the failure. I only know my mistakes. You know, so I think being close to consumer and being the humbleness to say, okay, I think we are not on the right path.
To accept the flaws,
Absolutely correct.
to accept the change that you
I
need to
think we
make.
need to cut our losses and move on to something different. Maybe we need to go back to the drawing board and check what is it called.
So a lot of people like facing the issue that they are getting attached with their businesses, that even after making losses they feel that no, I'll sustain that, and because of that attachment they don't want to give up on that. So what do you feel that when people should think that no, this is the right time to give up, or to adapt some new changes, or adapt some new businesses or something?
I think it's very difficult to put 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 a few frameworks around it. I think the point is that you should have a plan. Okay, we're going to be in this business or in this activity or in this journey, and we shall achieve one, two, three simplistic milestones. And if it is not happening, go back and think that is our strategy correct and execution bad, or our strategy is wrong but execution is very good. If teams are able to dissect the two, then whichever one needs improvement, whichever needs upliftment, needs to be addressed. If the thinking is strategy, then go back and check, okay, maybe our strategy needs to be rethought through. And let us not blame execution. Or our strategy was very good, but execution is not very good. Maybe we need to go back and chase the right execution. Now, it's very easy to sit here and talk about it because businesses are about businesses and emotions. So, it's not easy to do is to sit back and leave emotions. And it's okay. We're going to critically evaluate. Is our strategy right? Is our execution right? Or our strategy is not correct? Execution not correct? And then let's go back and change. Do. Even after couple of trials, if it's not working, then potentially I would say,
Learning from the mistakes, basically.
I have to say, okay, I
That-
think we can probably, this is not our cup of tea. Let's leave this.
Accepting that.
Accepting it and move on. And there'll be, because it is also taking away the opportune time to not do something else.
What are your advices for college students who are aspiring to be future leaders or entrepreneurs or good into the jobs, whatever the fields they are going? So, what one advice would you like to give to college students?
Oh, India is a very fortunate time. The growth is there. India is probably a great place to be in all aspects, and always has been. I think I would just give a couple advices: is um, follow your passion. There is nothing to say that only one passion will be rewarding. Follow your passion. To be humble, very difficult. 21, 23-year-old youth is full of aggression and power. Humbleness is important. And, third is have a good set of mentors. Mentor need not necessarily be somebody who may be twice your age. Even good friends are your mentors. I found that sometimes friends we don't go because of feeling I'm going to ask for help, but sometimes friends are probably one of the best mentors. And I think have a good sounding board because things are still nimble. Maybe all information is not available. Maybe there's another perspective to look at it. And I think more you will learn along the journey. Enjoy, have trust in yourself. I think you will accomplish what you want to do. So.
During your career journey, have you ever got the chance to go to any college or interact with students on certain topics or
Oh,
something?
many times, many times. I love it. Whenever I get the opportunity, I always say yes.
Any particular experience which you had?
I think in the last 1 year, I would have gone to about 5, 6 of them. But I think since you asked me, there's one question I remember which really I still remember. I think it was in Manesar. So there was this young lady. She said, uh, you know, about women empowerment and what do you think we should do? How should we? I said I come from a family where my mother and everybody they worked. It was at the time of the new India was being created, and the infrastructure was not there. I said, if you have a dream, if you have a thought, follow it. Go after it. The world will adjust, will create itself around. Do not look for people to give you big accommodation. You can ask for accommodation, but don't think people will. But you have a dream, you have a passion, you have a plan, go for it, develop it. The world will be out to welcome you and support you. I think that was one interaction I remember.
Tell us a bit about your family, like, ma'am, like about ma'am, about your daughters, and about how you are spending time with them.
Okay. As I said, me, my wife, and my 2 daughters are homebird, are homebound, and we discuss a lot about anything, any topic, any sports, any passion. My elder daughter is into pottery. My younger daughter is into media and communication, and we discuss the topics and see how they're doing, what they're sharing, and we enjoy ourselves.
ग्रेट सो कोई एक ऐसा एक्सपीरियंस जहाँ पे आप किसी लाइक ट्रिप पे गए हैं और कोई पर्टिकुलर कोई भी लोकेशन दैट कैन बी इन हिल्स और रिलीजियस प्लेसेस और बीच जो मेमोरेबल ट्रिप आपकी रही हो ऐसा कोई एक्सपीरियंस?
I think there's one trip I think which was in Uttaranchal. It was by the Ganges. Normally people travel in these places when there's not enough there's less rain or not on the monsoon. We had gone to one trip by the Ganges, and it is pouring. It is pouring the whole day, and I think we had never seen the river Ganges and that place when it is pouring. I think it is most scenic, most refreshing, so green, and such a vivid experience that's still fresh in my mind.
Do you like to cook?
I do a little bit, not too much, to be honest with you.
So, what's the best you cook?
Oh, I can manage. I can manage my breakfast. I can cook a few things, but I'm not a great cook. But
Okay, any particular dish which you would like
no,
to?
no. I just make enough to eat and survive.
Okay. Okay. So, when it comes to the hiring trends, right? So, when you started your career in like 1980s, you started your career, right?
84.
Yeah, 84. So now in 2023 we are sitting. So how the hiring trends have been changed so far?
I think 2, 3 trends which have become very. I think that there's a new age in that way. Earlier, you would get a resume, and you would have to wait to meet the person, and then make a judgment in the 20, 30 minutes, and so on and so forth. Today, I think when you get a resume, the first thing people do is go and check on the LinkedIn, and then you'll find okay, he knows so and so. So I think there is more information available about a person's candidature than it was in the historical perspective, which also allows companies to be far more ready, which also goes for the candidate. The candidate also knows more about the company today because of media and LinkedIn and everything than he knew earlier. So I think both are coming today more well informed, more prepared to ask the questions. Earlier time you would have some thought, but today I think both the candidate and the company to be able to find a fulfilling career is I think coming to the second trend, which I think is earlier was I want a job and the company says can I get. I think today the thought is about fitment. You know, he's a good, but will he fit? And he says I'm looking for 2, 3 companies. Is this the right fit for me? It is not a job. It's about a fitment, and that's about culture. That's in a HR language called employer branding and other definitions around it. But I think is today the world is about fitment. And will I have a fulfilling career? While the candidate is doing his level best to position himself, the organization also doing its level best to position itself. And to say, okay, you got a certain set of skill sets, we have a certain set of requirements, can we blend the two together? It's not a go, no go.
And if it's a
saying-
matching for both of them.
Absolutely correct. That's, I think, one or 2, 3 trends I see. And I think more informed decision making is happening, both the candidature and the organization.
So, being a managing director for so long, you must have came across a lot of conflicts, right? There are a lot of conflicts which happens inside the company, outside the company, with stakeholders, or somebody who is your investor, or a lot of people are involved into that. So, how do you think that you can manage the conflict management, or you have been managing the conflict management thing?
It's a conflict management is every day, both in personal life and in professional life. It doesn't go away. I think we'll talk about the professional one. I think the point is that when either you have to take a decision, okay, we have to make a strategic choice today, and we are going to go ahead and do it, or there's an operational issue, or there's a problem. I would bucket them in 3 potential areas. When it's strategic, I think it needs a thought and it needs time to debate and internalize and align. And it does not necessarily mean that a subject matter will have all the answers. A great team will always say, get everybody who's there in the management team to say, okay, let's discuss this. Sometimes I found the manufacturing team, they're given a better answer or a more different answer than somebody in marketing. But the problem may be marketing. Sometimes the marketing person or the sales person or the finance guy has given a different answer, a different spin to a manufacturing issue. I think developing a team over a point in time allows you to bring so many different views to the table to churn it and then say, okay, guys, this is what we think today. And I think people will have to say, okay, I agree with 50%, but 50% I don't agree. And it's fair. We say, okay, understand. But as a team, we're going to do this. It's not easy. It's
Because
very
when you
difficult to
work
say,
in a company,
very easy to say.
True.
Yeah. But I think if that happens, then I think execution is a wow. In day-to-day matters, I think you need to get the stakeholders, all the stakeholders. Never, okay, there may have been situations I may have taken decisions with fewer people, but normally get all the potential stakeholders and people who will be impacted with it to say, okay, let's get them on the board and take it. In conflicts, you have to dissect between emotion and logic. That doesn't mean you don't pay any respect to the emotion. You have to say, okay, let's divide the two, but you have to go back and layer the decision making, factoring emotion in people, and pay time and respect for that. It's like COVID period. Every organization took choices to cut costs, make voluntary decisions. But as long as people were aligned and they were heard, I think they took the decision, they were involved.
Very well said. So, as you said that during COVID, when we talked, so how did you manage the things during COVID? How your company managed the things? Did you also like went to like everybody went to a work from home thing? So, changing from work from office to directly into work from home was such a challenging thing for every company, right? So, how did you manage that particular
I
thing?
think first was the issue of technology. People had never used Microsoft Teams and so on and so forth, and I think there's a lot of training to be done people because suddenly there was a lockdown. I think that was the first piece. The second piece was to be able to respect people's space. It's okay, you're sending out an invite, check if everybody's availability is there. It's an important meeting, and make sure all people are saying they're available. I think the third piece was work from home and to respect that people are from home. They're not in office. So it's just that they're working from home doesn't mean they're here 24/7. So it's okay. That was a challenge. I mean, a lot of people came back and said, can we do different days? Let's respect that they're from home. There will be disturbances. People that don't have large homes in India. So whatever we can do to support them. Some people said, I need to take my desktop home. I work in the office. I don't have a laptop. So okay, allow them to take it out. And IT policies have to be adjusted to be able to do. I think the world of tomorrow for some time will be a hybrid mode. There will be need for critical times and critical meetings to be in person, and there will be something which can happen from home. So transactional related will sometime be at home, sometime in office, but which is critical decision making, we need the people in presence will happen in the office. I think for some time the hybrid will continue. I don't know what will happen after that.
One advice which you would like to give to new entrepreneurs and new startup founders, basically, one advice which you would like to give.
Oh, that's a tall order. I would only say 2-3 things. One is, I think, be consumer centric. I said it many times. Keep your costs under control. Keep your cost of acquisition in your knowledge. Okay, if I'm getting certain number of consumers, is my acquisition cost X, and can I get it down to a particular level? That's the second thing. When I will scale it up, how will this organization look like? Will it be profitable? Will it be sustainable? And how will it look like? I know for startup that is not an immediate question, but in the back of the mind, that discussion should happen. If I were to scale up, how will my value chain happen? How will I source it? How will this organization look like? Because the seeds of that are potentially lying in today's decision making.
Thank you so much that you took a lot of time of yours. I personally have learned a lot from you, and I'm sure the audience will also learn a lot of things. So thank you so much, sir, for coming.
Thank you, Shambhavi, for the time.
Thank
It was
you.
learning. And as we discussed, there was a lot of learning for me as well.
Definitely, sir.
Thank you.
And we'll keep meeting you for different topics, and we'll be coming with a lot more topics for you.
Thank you very
And I'm
much.
sure
Pleasure
you'll
to be
be
here.
keeping
Pleasure
your
to be
time
here.
for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.